It's week 11 of the AUDL season. That means it's New York Empire against Boston Glory Part 2. After a 23-19 victory for the Empire up in Boston a few weeks ago, the stakes have very much changed at this point in the season for both these teams. The Empire has locked up the 1 seed and hosting duties in the playoffs, at least in the East Division, plus they've now won their 3rd straight regular season crown. But the number 1 overall seed, if they were to go to championship weekend, is still on the line. For the Glory, they are mathematically still in the hunt for the 3 seed. But when I say a lot, I mean a lot has to go their way for that to happen. But, as we always say, that's why you play the games. Now let's get into the over-under, starting with the Empire. After suffering an injury at the TEP tournament down in Colombia in the preseason, Charles Weinberg hadn't been fully healthy all season long, even leading to him missing 3 games. And as I spoke about last week with Elliot, he definitely gets lost in the shuffle a bit when speaking about that Empire O-line and all their fancy highlights. Even last week when he arguably had the throw of the season for the Empire, a beautiful crossfield inside flick that zoomed over everybody but nestled right into the breadbasket of the on-rushing Cat. On the broadcast, I mentioned how great of a cut it was by Cat to find the open space. That's a mea culpa by me, sure, but it's a testament to how easy Weinberg makes everything on the field. He's just an all-around good player. He gets the occasional goals, completes 96% of his throws, only has 5 total turns on the season, and went off for a season-best +8 on 6 assists, 2 goals, and 1 block against Montreal. So after his breakout performance, I was trying to get cheeky with his over-under. Over 1 ridiculous crossfield pass? No, too much. Over 1 15-yard in-cut and 15-yard out-cut on the same point? No, that's too complicated. What's not complicated is that I consistently get my over-unders wrong, so I'm giving myself an easy one. I'm setting his over-under of completions at 20, and I'm taking the over. Bad news for me though, against Montreal, when he had the 6 assists, he only had 19 completions. But he has hit that mark, collecting somewhere between 21 and 25 in 4 of the 7 games he's played. Okay, so it's not that easy, but I'm thinking that he's going to continue to play an important role in the Empire O-line, especially this week with some familiar faces potentially sitting out for the Empire, who are already hosting the playoffs and won the division. Weinberg already missed his time through injury, so if Montreal is any indication, he's just getting started as being involved in this Empire O-line. And remember, it's Youth Ultimate Night on Saturday against Boston at 7 p.m. at Joseph F. Facina Field. We hope to see you there and showing your Empire spirit. The Boston Glory are 4-6 at this point in the season, and they were picked by some experts, I'd say me included, as having an inside track on the 3 seed when the preseason began. They are mathematically still in the mix for it, but they'll have to beat New York and DC, their only 2 remaining games. And they'll have to hope that Philly not only loses to New York and DC, but also to Toronto and Ottawa. More likely, the Glory will have to look back on this season as a what could have been. When things were clicking and all the top number getters were available for the Boston Glory, that O-line in particular was certainly a top half of the league unit. And with the likes of Cam Warner and Brendan McCann on the defensive side of the disc, that D-line for the Boston Glory took a huge step forward this season. But once again, it came down to missed games. Boston will likely be without Ben Sadok on Saturday, and that'll be his first game missed of the season. Breakout star Cole Davis-Brand has missed 2, Willie Stewart 1, Topher Davis 3, Tanner Johnson 7, Zachary Burpee 5, Anders Olsen 5, Jeff Graham 6, Orion Cable 7, Ivan Tran 5, and Cam Warner 5. That's 46 games missed from the majority of your offensive line and some of your best lockdown defenders. Injury luck hasn't been on the Glory side this year, but it has been on Ray Tetro's side. Limited to just 5 games last year, Tetro took his 5-goal, 4-assist, 4-block 2021 and turned it into a team-leading 33 goals, 19 more than Jeff Graham's second-place 14, plus 12 assists and 2 blocks for a team-leading plus 33. Playing on Saturday will make him the only Glory player to play in all 11 games so far. And with the emergence of Tetro and Davis-Brand this season to add to the established names, Boston can again go into next year saying, all we have to do is stay healthy and we're in good shape. But I still need to do an over-under for this week. I'm going with under 275 receiving yards. Since racking up 273 against New York in May, Tetro's gone under 275 just once in the last 6 games. And that was his last outing against Montreal, where he finished with just 201 receiving yards, 1 goal, and a -1 ±, the worst such mark in his 2-year Glory career. I could have gone either way with this one. Missing some of his key disc movers makes me think that he'll have even more attention on him and likely force him to be more of a thrower than he wants to be. But he also might just have to become that number 1 A1 option receiver and then make the Empire pay that way. And if that's the case, well, then I'm wrong again. Speaking of fluctuation with different lines, the Empire O-line could see some changes this week with players in and out of the lineup. But what I do expect to see is a healthy dose of Matt "Cat" Stevens on the O-line. I'm being quite ambitious with an over-under of 2.5 goals. I mean, you knew it had to be goals for Matt "Cat" Stevens heading into the weekend. He is 4th on the all-time list behind Cam Brock, who's gone supernova in Indy this season, Atlanta's Matt Smith, and teammate Ben Yap, who's now at 312, just 6 under Smith, by the way. Cat, meanwhile, sits at 303, having hit the mark with 3 against Toronto, the third of which came on a pull play that was set up with the intention of having him reach 300. Another 3 against Montreal last weekend were his only 2 3-goal games of the season, coupled with 4 straight 1-goal games in May. He's also gone scoreless in 4 games, but it should be noted, he played primarily D in 3 of those 4 games, and split O to D 8-7 in the last of those 4. Basically, if Cat is on the O-line, he gets at least a goal. And since the very first game in Empire history, Matt "Cat" Stevens gets goals when his team needs them. And I'm guessing that the team will be looking for him and Babbitt to be the primary finishers against Boston. So for those who keep track at home, again, it's over 20 completions for Charles Weinberg, under 275 receiving yards for Ray Tetro, and over 2.5 goals for Matt "Cat" Stevens. If you've got an opinion, and most AUDL fans do, hit us up in the comments below or on Twitter or Instagram, but most importantly, enjoy the game.